Okay, let me see here. I'm trying to find the question earlier. Okay, the tribulation since the temple is being rebuilt. Okay, now let's go to the book of Saint Luke, the 20th chapter. Okay, or Saint Luke 21. All right, because the reality is that the Israelites, the children of Israel, have been under tribulation. Okay, since the fall of Jerusalem. I mean, really, when you go through our history has always been a tumultuous one. Okay, a one that's chaotic, a one filled with mischief, warfare, rebellion, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, of course, I know people, we also have the prophecy of tribulation, or what some may call the Great Tribulation, when you read in the prophet Daniel about the final 7 years, so on and so forth. Okay. So let's go to the Bible first in the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 20, to see what Christ has to say about the Israelites in tribulation. It says here in the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 20, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. Meaning those who are in the countryside on the outer skirts, let them not enter into the city of Jerusalem. Verse 22 says, for these be the days of judgment, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Verse number 23. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall the edge of the sword. So first and foremost, it says in verse 23, but woe unto them, meaning trouble or destruction unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. So what our people experienced leading up to 70 AD and during the time of 70 AD was tribulation. Okay, Christ said that there would be great distress and wrath upon this people, or great distress in the land and wrath upon the people. Verse number 24 says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, so this was tribulation that our people experienced leading into 70 AD. And even after 70 AD, there was much tribulation upon the people of Israel. Okay. Verse number, well, you can continue reading on, but Christ gives different signs that would take place leading up to, of course, his second coming, but also some of the signs going back to Matthew 24. Some of those signs were also prevalent during the time after his crucifixion, when persecution really started to arise upon those who were followers of Christ. Okay, now, so yes, we've been in tribulation since the time of 70 AD. Okay, but the question is, will there be what some people may call a great tribulation? Okay. And what we call the Great Tribulation is likened unto the birth pangs of a woman, which is why the scripture I'm looking for is very key. Okay. All right. It'll come to me. Let me go to Jeremiah, in fact, it says here in the book of 2nd Ezra 16, it says, 2nd Ezra 16 and 14, behold, the plagues are sent, shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth. Like as the arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Woe is me, woe is me. Who shall deliver me, or who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. So it is the beginning of sorrows, the beginning of tribulation, the beginning of distress, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, and the beginning of evils. Which shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine, plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Okay? So it goes into the, yes, this is what I'm looking for. Second Ezra 16, chapter 16, verse 38. It says, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Okay? So yes, we had tribulation going back to 70 AD. We've been in tribulation. We've been in distress. We've been in sorrow since that time. And that sorrow will heighten as the birth pangs grow, or as the birth of our nation, if you will, comes to its fullness. All right. So the closer we come to our deliverance, the more painful the birth pangs will become, or the tribulation will become. So let's go to the book of Jeremiah 30. And then we'll go to 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse number 1. In fact, I'll get straight to the point at verse number 4, where it says, and these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. So the tribulation that we're dealing with is not just the tribulation of the southern kingdom. There's also the tribulation of the northern kingdom. So we know that before 70 AD, the northern kingdom Israelites were already taken out. They were already dealing with tribulation and sorrow, going back to 721 BC. Okay? But again, that tribulation will culminate as time goes on, as time dawns toward the end. Verse number 5 says, for thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that great day, or for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So, another term for that great tribulation that will come upon the earth is Jacob's trouble. Verse number 8 says, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that it will break his yoke, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. So this is also a part of Jacob's trouble. The Most High is doing this to ultimately break the bonds that the Gentiles have upon us. But before that can take place, we must go through great pain and tribulation. Now, getting to the actual question, are we in that tribulation based on the idea that they are building a third temple? Okay. Let's go to the book of 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter.
It's a foregone conclusion that this
Okay.
third temple is going
And we constantly hear this from year to year. You constantly hear that a temple is being built. A temple is being built, but really nothing comes to fruition. Okay. But here it says in the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse number 1, and the one I really want is 1 Thessalonians or 2 Thessalonians 2. That's the one I really want. I'm going to read here in 1 Thessalonians 5 and 1. But of those times and of the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety.
Good morning, New York York City, it is such a beautiful September day today. Although Midtowners, heads up, traffic is going to be bad. Here's why.
That's right, a lot of world leaders in town. We've got President Putin, the Pope is going to be in town. So roads are going to be closed off on short notice. Make sure you have a couple different ways to get to work.
I am committed to trying to achieve a peace agreement between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
The president believes forging a historic peace agreement is possible and believes his son-in-law is especially fit to achieve it.
He is so great. If you can't produce peace in the Middle East, nobody can.
This is a historic moment for humanity.
Then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not so in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. You're all children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Okay? So a key point or a key focus of noticing when a time of tribulation is at hand is when they're constantly talking about peace, okay, peace resolutions, okay? That's a great sign of war or tribulation at hand. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse number 3 says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And that falling away took place in 70 AD. We read that in the book of St. Luke, the 21st chapter, where it told us that they shall fall by the hands of the Gentiles and be led away captive into all nations. Speaking about the children of Israel. Verse number 4 says, who opposeth and exalteth, or it says here, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
More centuries. In Jerusalem, the Maccabees rededicated that temple, and restored Jewish sovereignty in this land. And it was here in Jerusalem, some 2,000 years later, that the soldiers of Israel spoke three immortal words, Har Habayit Be'adenu. The Temple Mount is in our hands. The Temple Mount is in our hands,
Okay, so this took place when the so-called Jewish people went into the land of Israel and began to claim that they were the people of God, that the temple of God had been restored since the Jewish people, or because the Jewish people have gone back into the land of Israel. Okay, so it says here in verse number 5, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. So the mystery of iniquity, this big mystery of a great antichrist or a man of sin revealing himself to the earth as the opposer of God, Paul is stating that that man or that spirit was manifested during his time. And it was manifested through the Roman Empire. Okay? So everyone is waiting, people are waiting for the third temple and the Antichrist to rise up from the third temple, so on and so forth. A lot of these things, that spirit has already been revealed from the time that Paul and the apostles were operating during the ministry in their time. Okay? Verse number 7 says, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Meaning the Most High will allow him to operate until it's time for him to be judged. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie, so on and so forth. Okay?
The Antichrist will sit in the temple of God, and he will declare to the whole world that
So,
he is
to answer
God.
the question whether the tribulation period has started since they're building the temple, the reality is that the tribulation has already started. It has started from the time that we have fallen in 70 AD. Okay, which caused a complete desolation of the children of Israel. You had the first fall in 721 BC of the northern kingdom. Of course, the southern kingdom went through 4 different captivities, but eventually they were ultimately dispersed from the land forever during the time of 70 AD. Okay, where they would never return to the land. Okay, so that tribulation that has already started. Now, as far as a great tribulation, has that started? Based on the prophecy of a temple being built. There's really nothing that goes into, a temple being built and that being a sign of great tribulation. Okay, what they've established already in the land of Israel is already a sign. Okay, that the mystery of iniquity not only was working during the time of Paul, but has continued to work from generation to generation and will continue to operate and work until Christ comes to judge them. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Someone asked about Isaiah 47 verse 2. Okay, it says, take the millstones and grind mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, and pass over the rivers. This is poetic language that's being used to describe the judgment of Babylon. Okay, in other words, the Most High stating that this kingdom, the kingdom of Babylon, will go from being the lady of kingdoms to being revealed as being the whore, so to speak, of the earth. Okay, her nakedness will be shown. It says here in the book of, when you go to verse 1, it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground, there is no throne. So she will be taken off of her high horse, off of her throne, and she shall be shown for who she really is. Speaking about the kingdom of Babylon. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Now, verse 3 also gives context to what verse 2 is stating, where it says, in verse number 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, meaning she shall be revealed. She shall be exposed. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man, meaning the Most High is going to judge her by warfare. Okay. Going down here, another verse that reveals the understanding of verse number 2. Verse number 7 says, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end of it. So she thought that she would be the lady of kingdoms forever. She would be the sweetheart of the earth forever. But yet the Most High, again, he is uncovering her. He's revealing her true nature, which is the whore of Babylon, as is spoken of in the book of Revelation 17 as well as Revelations 18. Okay.